nó pesa nè, pesa luôn nè.
Like that. Oh, that's a nice one. I think it might be better in here. No, it's fine. Yeah, it's close in here. Yeah, right there. Oh. Yeah, right there. Yes. You're taking out the oh my girl. Let's do one more going in. Yeah, don't do it. Bring my daughter. Amy, bring my daughter here. Amy. Chân tông nó tự sắp lại nó lại cho nên anh thâu chạy chỉ anh thâu chè nó sổ họ anh thâu đó nó họ bổ ra nè cái lông nó lại sổ làm lông nó lại vậy này trong này chắc là cây đá nữa cái gì mà để họ trong này nó mất thay chè thì nó thôi cái chè này tu là chè ta tả mình lâu để tu phát khai đua đó là nó ấy khai chè đâu nên ở trong bao chè nó nó nữa chè mất ở này bóc kia này bóc kia chè bóc kia này chè để chỉ là bóc kia to nữa thay chỉ cả nữa, ở đây bóc kia nè, anh này là bóc kia, nè bóc kia nè, bóc kia rồi nè, rồi nó này, chúng ta nó tí à, tụt tí này phải ở ra còn thằng quạt tì ta cho này mỏng ra, cái này là bóc tí này, có thể sáng này tông này cho chè đi là lỡ, cho chè đi nó nếu mà rõ mình cho nó thì này, cái này chè nó là qua châu nó á là nè, trên tông nó nè. Để trên này nó rong lên nó có rong á Mom, maybe you need to bring your next time. Mảng ga của tương ga tôi cũng phải tác nó ga rồi. Cái cũng nên gì chứ nó còn nó như cỏ. Hey, Joe, you Joe, come on, you guys. You guys can sit all around. Along. Sit along the
tức là thằng lúc ở đây nó là lúc có đi chở trà hay ha cái trà này nó thế nào
Wait. Me, you guys go in there and take picture with them. There it is. Why didn't you?
Biết là người ta.
You guys go in there. No, the family. The family. The family. The girl. Go get one with mom. The family.
Ấy em mà ăn lọt gì đâu. Ô,
Look at this one. She's like, I want mine. Okay. Okay, one over here. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, 1, 2, 2. Wait, mom. Nice photo. Take mine. I'm by myself. I know, mom. Nước mà bạn cũng nghe phạt thôi. Đúng rồi mà. Yeah. Alright, go on. Everybody get in there. Ở tháng mà nó có cái mình hay con nó có câu Okay. Con luôn à? Okay. Anybody else? Hai cái cành thôi rồi.
Ủa phòng không có chờ hả?
Cái này là hai bên.
Okay.
Okay.
睇住個兜仔咯，就即係你偷拍開嚟攞要兜仔咯。
Wait, what's next?
Where are you going?
nhưng mà một xí đâu.
Where are you going?
Nhưng mà một hậu đâu.
Lonnie Rock Park.
It ain't the market. I don't know.
Đó là thịt cua về nè.
Con chân không nghĩa đuôi lo.
Không. Phải cho nó sống trở nó. Sống trở cái tết trở luôn cho nó kìa. Để cho. Không biết mà có luôn thì biết gì ta mà cho mua. Có luôn thì đó. Thế ở đủ nữa là có luôn thì nữa. Cho nó mà nhập khâu thì chẳng khâu biết tích rồi tất gì cho nó chỉ tốn nó biết tích rồi mà thì cho chỉ là mà tết cả thì tốn nó nữa rồi tới đây rồi nó nữa cái một nửa khác của nó cái một nửa khác là
Có Hawaii đó, Hawaii đó. Gotcha. Did you eat another one?
Đó là giờ cho nó khóc con luôn rồi cho nó nè. Chị không.
Okay.
Cho nó cho ít cho họ nó tới họ nó có chả tí cho anh tông tới sự tới đó cho nó nè. Cho nó tông lia cho nó là tông lia cái sự dầu chè đó dầu chè lia anh tông đó cho nó dùng để tông nữa chè này trong lên đó chè tết cho nó chè này muốn tông rồi à.
We have 4 kinds that we grow: a Haas, a green gold, a Charwool, and a local Kulumanu variety. And technically, avocados are a fruit. They're a single-seeded berry, but they have a lot of healthy fats, a lot of protein, and more potassium per gram than a banana. The avocado trees will be a little happy today with this rain, but they do require, they say, 6 times more water than an orange tree and 4 times more water than a mango tree. So the next area we're coming up to is the mango grove. You'll still see some green mangoes, maybe if you're lucky, some orange ones that haven't been harvested yet. Summer is the main time for mangoes. We actually sometimes get a second season in the spring because of our weather. This is the Hayden mango, which is a little less stringy and has a smaller pit. Definitely my favorite type of mango. There's also some white boxes to the right. Those are bee boxes, and as you can imagine, they're very important for pollinating a lot of the crops on the plantation. Ironically, not mango. And speaking of sweet things, on either side of the tram, these tall grasses are sugar cane. On the right-hand side, in between the sugar cane, is some dragon fruit. It looks like they just harvested, so you have some up at the market. It is a red dragon fruit, and it is kind of a combination between a pear and a kiwi. But the tall grasses, like I said, are sugar cane, and if you were here more than a couple of years ago, the entire island was mostly covered in sugar cane. That was a major export from the 1800s till recently. Actually, our international culture here is partly a product of the sugarcane plantations. People came from all around the world to work in the plantation. The facility here started out as a sugar mill. But even before that, the Hawaiians brought sugarcane with them in their canoes. They didn't grow it commercially, but they would use it mostly as windbreaks around their houses, use it to flavor medicine, and then of course they would chew on the stalks to get that sugar burst of energy, but then the fibers they would chew on to clean their teeth like a toothbrush. The Hawaiian word for sugarcane is ko, K-O. And then on either side, we're coming into the macadamia nut grove. Macadamia nuts are native to Australia. And if you look up in the trees, you might see some green ones, maybe some brown ones on the ground. They do kind of what coconuts do. They start out green and they turn a brown color. They will self-harvest, and they have a very thick outer husk. But it actually takes a special machine that can apply 300 pounds of pressure per square inch to crack open that outer husk, but then not damage that soft kernel on the inside, and that's the part that we eat. Probably explains why they cost a little bit more than I prefer, but I think it's all worth it when they're covered in chocolate or toffee. That's my favorite way to eat a macadamia nut. Lots of different varieties, lots of different growers around the island, and you can definitely mix them up, make great gifts to take back home. So there's more papayas on the right. Looks like the birds have gotten most of the ones that have fallen. And then, of course, some lettuce and herbs for the restaurant and for the market on the left. And then finally, we're coming down a palm-lined driveway again. And as you guys already learned, a common characteristic of palm trees is that they have their seeds growing in clusters. So for these Chinese fan palms, you'll see these purple kind of seed clusters at the end. They're not edible. The birds will eat the outer skin. And then there's one last coconut palm on the left. You can kind of do a little comparison. And like I said, you guys learned that the coconut palm is one of the few palms that has edible seeds. That dwarf coconut tree, though, does have larger coconuts. And then on the right, you'll see some big shade trees. These are monkey pod. Monkey pod trees were introduced for shade around the island. Those carvings that we saw at Dale Zarella's are made out of the monkey pod. There's also a the whale top countertop. The whale tail countertop at the market is also made out of the monkey pod. Like I said, they were introduced for shade because we do tend to have a little bit more sun here in Maui. So I'll tell you my final tale about Maui. And you can see Haleakala now coming into view off of the left-hand side. So the sun was supposedly just going too fast over the Hawaiian Islands. So Maui's mother did not have enough time in her day to dry her kapa, or her bark cloth. So Maui lassoed the sun, broke off a couple of the rays, and now they say the sun goes much slower over the Hawaiian Islands. So you can take Maui for your nice sun tan. Hopefully not your sunburn, but definitely stay hydrated. Coconut water. You go into it, definitely use the free sunscreen. Alright, we're coming to our final stop here up at the market and right past the coffee bar. They do have my new favorite coffee drink with coconut milk and coconut ice cream mixed with the coffee. I have no idea the two went together, but it's delicious. And of course, those apple bananas that we talked about and the sunrise papaya we have for sale at the market. Alright, I'll be coming around for any final questions. Tips are not required, but graciously accepted. But definitely let me know if you have any questions. It's been a pleasure to take you out this morning. Have a great rest of your day. Aloha and ahui ho, which means until we meet again. The banana flower. And underneath each petal, a new row or hand of bananas will grow. Once all the petals have fallen, or basically make this kind of long rope down, you'll have your whole entire bunch. And at that point, you could harvest the tree, cut it down, because each one is only going to make one bunch of bananas. And I say tree, but it's actually a pseudostem. The main heart of the banana tree is underneath the ground, and it's technically an herb, the largest herb. So we'll call it a stem. And then that will nourish all of the new baby banana plants growing on around the bottom that we call pups. This is an apple banana, which means it's a little smaller and a little sweeter. I know they have some for sale at the market. If you've never tried one, you should definitely try one, but you may not go back to eating regular bananas again. They're much, much sweeter, but they're really good when they're brown and even yellow. So don't get the green ones, wait till they're yellow. On the right-hand side, before we get too far, I'm going to show you the coffee. So behind the citrus trees, those small bushes are coffee plants. And if you look, you might start to see some little green, almost baby-sized beans. And a few of them do have the red cherries on them. So they start green, turn a red color, and they're harvested when they are red. They'll take off that outer sweet skin, and at that point, the caffeine is already in the plant. But you're not going to smell or taste coffee yet, because you'd have to take those beans and roast them. The longer you roast them, the more flavor you get, but you do lose some of that caffeine. So the darker roasts actually have less caffeine. And coffee is named after where it's grown. So this is Maui coffee, even though it's an Arabica variety originally from Ethiopia. Kona coffee would be from Kona off the Big Island, but same type. Coming up on the right, we have a couple of mature pineapples. Most of these other plants already have their pineapples picked, but there are still two here, maybe three actually in the back there. And you can see that single pineapple. Each plant only going to make one full-size pineapple. And then the subsequent generations will be a little smaller, but a little sweeter. We call those sugar babies. You can get up to about 4 generations really before that pineapple is too small, and at that point it's mostly just used for juice. Remember I said the Hawaiian name was Hala Kahiki, which actually means foreign or false hala. The hala tree is a native tree, and there's actually a variegated version of it on the left-hand side with the yellow and green spiky leaves. That is the hala, and it is one of the canoe plants as well as a native plant that the Hawaiians use for almost all of their weaving, for the baskets, the mats, just about everything. So when they saw the pineapple, that's what it reminded them of. Speaking of weaving, on the left-hand side, these are plumeria. They're the second most popular lei-making flower. Plumeria are native to South America, and actually right now you can see all the leaves and flowers on them, but they do lose them in the winter because even here our winters can be a little wet and cold for the plumeria. It's common also to wear your plumeria in your ear, but careful which ear you wear your flower in because you're also advertising your relationship status. If you wear it in your left ear, you're saying you're married or taken. If you wear it in your right ear, you're single and ready to mingle. Alright, on a more serious note, you can look over the fields of taro here on the left-hand side and look up towards the mountains. And I say mountains, but it's actually one volcano called the Hawai, or House of Freshwater. So pretty typical to see it covered in clouds. Up there at Utukui, averaging 400 inches of rain here, one of the wettest places in the world. And we are called the Valley Isle because we're in that valley in between the two volcanoes. So if you look on the right-hand side, you can actually see the summit of it today. So above the trees, but below the clouds, that is the summit of Haleakala. That is our other volcano, actually the younger volcano here on Maui, up at 10,023 feet. Haleakala means house of the sun. I'll tell you a little legend about it at the very end of this tour. So today it looks like the clouds are covering a profile. There's a profile in the mountains of a chief, which I think is very appropriate because a lot of the chiefs were buried in Iao Valley, or we think, we don't really know for sure. But a lot of ancient Hawaiian chiefs had a lot of wisdom, and they had a very wise way of dividing up land called the Ahupua'a system. And it was basically a big pie wedge going from the mountains to the ocean, and the chiefs of the village were responsible for managing that whole land because it gave them all their food and resources that they needed for clothes and shelter as well. And they would also grow their taro, which is on the right-hand side here. That is dryland taro, but it's also grown in wetland ponds. They would divert the streams. And they were such good agriculturists that they think at the time of Captain Cook that they could have supported up to 1 million people with their agricultural techniques. So this is like taro or kalo in Hawaiian. If you've ever seen poi, basically that's that caramel pudding. You would take the root part, steam it, and add water. So you can imagine it's kind of an acquired taste. If you don't like it though, try it with something salty. If you still don't like it, maybe stick to the taro chips where they slice them up, fry them, or the taro bread. Definitely my favorite way to eat chips. On the left-hand side, we'll see a few more papaya. I think they've just harvested them, so I don't see too many ripe ones. The ripe ones would be orange color, but the inside is pink because these are a sunrise or strawberry papaya and are much sweeter. They are Kumu Farm's major export, and I know they do have them in the market. They're also one of the only non-GMO papayas in Hawaii.
Thế cá tàu giờ mùa đó phải che lúa xe lấy thâu lúa xe là chuột ở bên đó có chỗ đó à tên đó chuột nó tàu rồi chỗ là bỏ nó này cho nó chỗ nó giàu chả này chả là chia tàu tự nhiên thấy trong thì chỉ có sân nó
Really? How tiny?
để mà đầu đây mà cho nó nhớ
Keep it.
Yeah, okay, I'm gonna get that.
cho nó
So they just left the microphone. If you can't hear, you can come a little closer. But you guys know what I have here?
Coconut.
A coconut. Can you guys say ni'u?
Ni'u.
Ni'u is the Hawaiian word for coconut, and this is actually the seed of the coconut palm tree. Remember I said most palm trees don't have edible seeds? The coconut palm is an exception. You guys may have been seeing coconut palm trees while you've been here without coconuts, and you guys are all actually standing underneath coconut trees, but they have been cut of their coconuts. Yeah, a couple of smart people looking up going, huh, that's really big. If that were to fall, yeah, it's actually pretty dangerous. 10 times more dangerous to walk underneath a coconut tree with coconuts than to swim with sharks. Don't worry about sharks, watch out for coconuts. So we have trimmed them. There's actually a law here that any tree over 20 feet does have to be cut of its coconut. So there are some coconuts on the tree behind you there. They are green, which means those are the young coconuts. And that tree is a dwarf tree, so it's not going to grow any taller, so it can keep its coconuts. The one behind me there, way in the back, is yellow. Those are kind of the teenager coconuts. That's on private property, so it can keep its coconuts too. But when they're ready, they will just fall right off the tree. And they have this really thick outer husk for protecting that seed from that fall. And this seed has everything it needs inside to be able to grow. So even end up floating in the ocean, end up on a beach, and just start growing right out of the seed. That's what that water that you hear inside is. All the nutrients and water it needs, it brings with it. Our coconuts here, though, did not end up floating in the ocean and ending up, we're too isolated. They were actually intentionally brought by the first people that arrived here. They got in their canoes from Marquesas, Tahiti, almost 2,000 years ago, and they brought with them what we call canoe plants. Coconuts, taro, sweet potatoes, tea leaves. By the way, these are tea leaves. Those are the stalks you saw that the deer had eaten. Tea leaves are used for everything from making shoes to rain capes to tea leaf leis, and now most commonly the hula skirts. It takes 100 to 150 tea leaves to make one hula skirt. Wow. So all of these are canoe plants. If anybody's, so we have a little gift. This is a little baby coconut that came off of the tree. So this one probably couldn't do much with it. The green ones are good for water. We'll open up this one and look inside. This is good for the birds. Anybody seen that movie? Yeah. There's an entire song just about all the uses of a coconut. So we'll talk about some of those uses as we open it. I may put my glasses on the mirror here. This is a pickaxe. You could use a sharpened stick. I could throw this on the ground for hours and nothing's gonna happen. I've got to be able to get past that thick outer husk. And I'm gonna start with this side. Can you guys say pico? Pico. Pico means beginning of life. Do you guys know you have a pico on you? Do you know what it is? Yeah, your belly button, exactly. So this is essentially the belly button of the coconut where the new plant would come out. And I'm also gonna start on that side. My coworker kind of got it started for me. She actually already has them pre-husked because it's actually, this is the hard part. The cracking is pretty easy, but getting that husk off is probably why you see them in the store already husked, because it's a lot of work. And watch your eyes, might be a little bit swine. So there's actually a lot of uses though for the husk. Any guesses on what we could do with some of this husk? What do you think?
Bedding.
Bedding, Anything else?
Fire.
Yeah, fire starter. It's a great fire starter. I've heard it has a lot of smoke, so it can be a great mosquito repellent as well. But because it does have a lot of smoke and a lot of hair, it can actually smell a little bit like burning goat hair, so maybe a great people repellent too. Anything else? Yeah?
Maybe a building material decoration.
Yes, and actually in that movie Moana, they talk about how they use the fibers to make their fishing nets and, yep, the rope. So I'll pass it around in just a minute. You guys can pull off some of the fibers if you want. Try and make your own rope. They would twist it, braid it together, and it's actually really strong even when wet. Enough to tie their canoes together, the roofs of the houses. And then if anybody's ever been to Home Depot or Lowe's, you can buy the coconut husk. It's actually very good for your garden. It's a great mulch, and that's what we'll be doing with ours. All right, and back to that movie Moana. You guys remember that guy Maui?
Yes.
Yeah, she's even got on her shirt there. Maui's kind of a Polynesian Hercules. Lots of different tales about all the different things that he did. One of them has to do with the coconut. So if you remember in that song, You're Welcome, that's all the different tales. It says, I killed an eel, buried its guts, sprouted a tree, now you got coconuts. The longer version version of that tale is there was a giant eel. So puhi is the word for eel, and it had kidnapped Maui's mother. So Maui went there and he fought with that eel for 7 days and 7 nights. Finally, on the 8th day, he was victorious. But he thought that the eel had been a worthy adversary, so he buried the eel. And they say the very next day, the first coconut tree sprouted. So I'll show you why I told you that story in just a minute, but I'll pass around the husk part now that I have it off. You guys are welcome to take some of the fibers, check it out, and then just put it on the stage when you're done. Try not to get in your eyes, sorry. See how strong it is? You guys can pass it around. She's over there, I can see she wants to make a rope. So I'm going to keep taking the husk off while you guys are checking that out. And if we hadn't opened it, actually, I've heard people say it would make a great boat. Yep, you could tie them underneath because they do float. Once you open it, though, it's not going to grow really into a tree. Because remember, this is a seed, and it would take about 6 to 12 years for you to get your first coconut. So a little bit of patience there if you're trying to grow one. And like I said, once I open it up, if you cannot grow into a seed anymore, it needs everything in here. Wondering if you guys, yeah, that's what I was wondering. It's a little bit harder to take off this part, so you guys have a special treat on this one today. Some people consider it good luck. This one actually had the new tree starting to sprout. That's why the top part was a little harder to get off. So every time you open a coconut, you're always going to see a face. Some people say it's the face of that puhi, that eel. Some people say it just looks like a bowling ball, maybe a monkey, maybe a pufferfish. What do you guys see? Sloth, I heard the other day. And you guys have a little bonus. You have a little tongue sticking out at you today. Here's the other little piece of it. And that is the new coconut tree sprouting. Remember I said it has everything it needs? Still has the water inside, so until I open it, it could still sprout into a tree. But once I open it, that will be it. Very hard. I didn't have to worry about damaging it, but that mouth is the soft spot. You can see the psh. I broke the seal part there. So if you're buying a coconut, make sure that mouth part is not moldy, is still sealed, because that's where any bacteria or anything can get in. So as long as that's sealed, this could be good for 6 months to a year. But you can see now it's already, the water is coming out. And there's actually a decent amount of water in here. Notice I said coconut water. Was anybody expecting coconut milk? No. I always thought there'd be milk inside, but no, it's water because it's clear, and this is all the nutrients, like I said, for the seed to grow. Anybody drink coconut water? Yeah, very good for you, very hydrating. Actually has potassium, calcium, but if you're drinking the coconut water, probably comes from the green coconuts. Those are the young coconuts and almost all completely full of water, maybe even up to 1 liter of water. This coconut water's been in here maybe 6 months, maybe a little bit longer. Thank you, sir. So it's going to be a little more fermented. For some people, they can drink it, but for some people, it's a natural laxative. So we'll stick with the green coconuts for the water. And this one still has a decent amount, but I'm going to go ahead and crack it open for you so you guys can see the, we call it meat, but it's more like a nut inside. There we go. So I'm just going to use a rock. You could use a hammer or anything, but the weak point is kind of in the middle on either side of the line. So I'm going to hit it. Listen for a very distinct sound. Nice, pretty, white meat. Yeah, here you go, bud. You can go ahead and check it out. I'll put that one there. Yeah, you can check it out. So nice, pretty white meat. And if we were to scrape this out, that is where the coconut milk comes from. It's from shredding it up and squeezing out all of the meat. Anybody ever tried to get it out though? It's a little bit of work, yeah. A little trick you can do is close it back up, put it in the freezer because there's so much moisture in here. As it freezes, it will expand, and then as you defrost it, it will come a little easier off of the shell, and then you can fry it off a little better. Still shred it up, still use it. Then once we've made our coconut milk, we could let it settle. The oil will naturally rise to the top, but you're only going to get about this much oil per coconut. Even a coconut this big, only about maybe half a shot glass of coconut oil. So why the coconut oil costs a little bit more. But you can feel it even when we pass it around. You can feel the oil in it and smell it. You might be thinking, it doesn't smell like a coconut. This does smell like a coconut. This is a fresh, raw coconut. We would toast it, and that's where you get that toasted coconut smell. But you can toast it as well, or just eat it straight like this. And then once we've eaten that, what can we do with the shell? You guys have the other good part. A bowl, yes. Thank you for not saying bikini first. Yes, bowls. This one for a filter. Somewhere they thought that'd be entertaining to make them a bikini. As you can see, even with a perfect size like this one size does not fit all. Maybe try the smaller dwarf coconuts if you're looking for that perfect fit. But yes, bowls, candles. What else do you think? I've seen purses now. Cups, absolutely. Like I said, this one has a hole. Yeah, I've seen the purses more like this because you can put it back on, put a little zipper. But yeah, and actually the Hawaiians would use this wood for making silverware and fish hooks and even octopus lures just out of the shell. So lots and lots of uses. One of the most useful actually fruits, I guess, to get that. I'm gonna let you guys pass it around. If you haven't already seen it, come on up, ask questions. That's about it for the demonstration. We've got about 5 more minutes before we continue. If you want, you can check out the red ginger, check out the jackfruit. If you do wander over to the carvings of Dale Zarella, you can check them out, but just stay on this side of the road. Beautiful artwork, but I can't afford to do this. We'll take it. Thank you guys, but yeah, come on over if you want to check it out, take pictures.
Cái này tú nó của tôi cả cái cá đâu, cái này là một chuột khẩu nữa, là một chuột khẩu nữa, cái nó khẩu ra mà.
khâu ru họ bỏ đó.
Cái họ bỏ là tao họ chỉ lên nó chỉ lên nó lúc tí là tao lúc tí cái này, ta chỉ là cho nó tới bên đây chờ mà cho tí nó tao á, cho tí này cổ long đi à, cổ long à.
Đây để thấy này. Nè còn nè tặng thầy mất rồi mình trộn thay đấy.
Nên một cái ta nó chẳng cơ lộ bây giờ cái ta cái thay cái con này này. Cái nó lấy cái nhiệt tu nó là tôi thay là hạt không cái hạt trong kia này. Mẹ mà mẹ ao chỉ cười thế mẹ tổng cái đó mẹ ao chỉ ăn là mẹ ao chỉ biết xe hát chơi hát khâu chơi hát tông la cho tông la nào mà cho nè hoa tí màu phao nào mà là hoa màu phao bên hoa tí bị plong nữa còn có biết món này cho trên đó bị plong họ nè nhưng mà cho cua họ nè để biết cái hoa tí bị plong nó nè thế này nè giờ là cho tí bị plong nó chỉ cho tí màu phao rồi mà nè cái này cho tí cái cỏ tàu liên là cái màu phao là chỉ bị lỏng á, bên mà học cái này là cái này cái nhỏ này, lông cũng để cả xe này cái này bao rồi mà nè, này bao à chị, chỉ bị lỏng nữa. Số nào mà đó chả chỗ lo một nó là này mua bông chân khô la ta bông chân khô la ta này ngô thế mình liền cái thay đó thế nó liền thế mình con phải con chỉ
Okay, Avery.
luôn là nó kèm nó bỏ
Avery.
họ lo mà gãy chờ chơi nữa bây giờ còn chơi nữa
Me and Mater. And my aunt. Okay, take that and you guys. Here, take that. You guys do my butt.
Ờ, to lắm, to lắm.
You're like you're trying to help her, like.
You do my feet.
But I think we should use that hand to lift and this one pull. That way, hold that. Yeah, so that it looks better. How much? Just take it. Take it. That way. Ready. Okay, ready. She's heavy, huh? Yeah.
It's too much time on one. We don't get everything.
bây giờ cá lò nữa bây giờ cá lò bây giờ chơi luôn đủ phải một thế này
Bây giờ bây tôi thay nhà bây chỉ ta chạy lúc nào bây tôi giờ bây có tăng sức mà thôi.
bây giờ chạy luôn nó cho cá một thế này luôn là giờ luôn nha lúc là chùa đó lúc là chùa
There's actually jackfruit on the count.
bây
Where?
Really brandy, really fast.
Cô thì bây lỡ mà.
And I sent a picture of you.
làm một thay đua là cho này
Ló.
Start right off the bat with our pineapple on the right hand side. The Hawaiian name for pineapple is Pala Kahiki, but despite having a Hawaiian name and being heavily associated with Hawaii, pineapples are actually native to South America and were not introduced here until the 1800s. They did grow quite well, and at one point in the 1900s, Hawaii was home to the world's largest pineapple plantations. Most of those have since closed, though, and moved to other countries. So you'll just see smaller pineapple plantations around the islands now, mostly for island consumption. If you wanted to grow your own pineapples at home, you would just need to save that top green brown portion. Hang on to those hands. Put it in some water for a couple of days until it grows some roots. And then, if you've got a little bit of tropical weather and some patience, in about 2 years you'll have your single pineapple. So these plants are about 18 months, so they should soon be getting their flower, and then right after that, their pineapple. I'll show you a couple more mature ones a little bit further along. Then the trees next to pineapples are papaya. As you can see, they already have their fruit, even though they're already 6 months old only. We've been passing some palm trees on either side of the driveway. These are Manila palms, or we call them a Christmas palm, because they start out with green seeds that turn a red color. As common with most palm trees, the seeds are not edible, and they do grow in clusters. We'll talk a little bit more about the coconut palm a little bit later. Alright, coming up on the left, we have some cattle. These are Texas Longhorns. And you're right, cows are not native to Hawaii. They were actually introduced in the late 1700s as a gift from Captain George Vancouver to King Kamehameha. They were such a highly prized gift that a ban was put on killing them for almost 50 years. But as you can imagine, left to their own devices, they became a little unruly, so Hawaiians learned how to manage cattle and became cowboys. The Hawaiian word for cowboy is kaniolo. So these are Texas Longhorn, and males and females do have long horns, and actually the two with the longest horns are the females. There's also a little black goat kind of hiding underneath the trough there. That's Blitzy. Goats and deer were introduced in the 1800s as gifts as well, but they do now both run wild throughout the islands. Blitzy was found wandering the plantation as a baby right before the pandemic, and she's just made herself at home and never left. So she's now a part of the ohana, or the family. These are part of the cattle are part of a larger herd that's up in the mountains, but they will never be sent to market. They do a great job helping us with any of the unusable produce and the extra green waste. I'll talk a little bit more about tea plants, which are on the right-hand side that look like sticks because the wild deer have eaten all of the leaves, but there'll be some by the coconut husking. You'll see these big towers throughout the tour. This is Maui's zip line, very beginner friendly and fun zip line, taking kids as young as 5 years old as long as they weigh 50 pounds. On the right-hand side, we have our heliconia in bloom, some lobster claw, double bird of paradise. They're used mostly for flower arrangements because even though they don't have much smell, they can keep their color for several weeks after being cut. And then same thing with the ginger on the left-hand side. This is a red ginger, not the kind that you would eat. It's an ornamental ginger, but used in flower arrangement. And it does have a slight fragrance. Some people swear it smells just like Fruit Loops if you rub the petals together. You guys can try that after the coconut husking. There's also a jackfruit by the canoe on the right-hand side. That is the largest tree fruit in the world. And they're kind of a big, spiky, almost watermelon-sized fruit. They say when it's ripe, it's a flavor combination of mango, pineapple, and banana. I know some of you guys noticed a little animal crossing the road. That is a mongoose. We don't have squirrels here, but we have mongoose. Mongoose were introduced to get rid of the rats and mice. Mongoose awake during the day, rats and mice at night. Now we have all three. They're kind of like our version of a raccoon, so you may see them throughout the tour. All right, we'll be stopping here for our coconut husking demonstration on the left-hand side. Just watch your head and your step and meet me over by the shaded area.
And the Lord gave me grace, and I'm very grateful even to this day. And I don't let you guys go because the conductors here.
Bây giờ tỏi rồi, bây giờ tỏi một lú là lú này nó lúm bả là chùa nó chỉ ta là ổn tệ bê là cá tụi nó giờ tụi bía tại sao tụi bía tại sao
Thank you. All right, aloha and welcome everyone. Can you guys hear me okay? Yep. Perfect. My name is Catherine. I'll be your tour guide for the next 40 minutes or so as we tour the back portion of the plantation. You guys probably noticed there are no seatbelts on the tram, so just stay seated when we're moving. It's going to be a little breezy, especially as we come around the first quarter, so just hold on to any hats or any loose items. All right, you guys ready? All right, let's go. Welcome aboard.
cái chứ luôn ơi, cái chứ nó ok luôn, tiếp cái
I didn't know if I
giờ mấy ba miệng nó bị nó theo rồi đó, miệng nó nghe
Thế đi à cô? Nó đã thay nè.
bé là hậu là lúc lao một thì mà thì nó có tua bé chỉ thay cái tua là nó cho nó tông lia tông chúa nó bây giờ là hoa tông lia tông chúa nó thì cho nó mà ấy cho tông chúa rồi cho là tí thay như trên bỏ pha thay nâng cho bao dây xin chào các lũ chị nè cho nó giờ ấy cho trong chúa này cho nó cho nó nè và cho nó khâu nè cho tổng tên là khâu bây giờ chờ từ xin nếu mà như thế chờ các khâu nó chỉ trong này bây giờ mình chỉ chờ bây giờ mình cho khâu trong nó nè mình tới bây giờ chờ mà luôn nó sẽ tại sao tới thế chờ nè đó nó lấy cho nhẹ tu phải nó mua cho à nhưng phải thay cho lịch sống sao liền thế là trời đó ơi cho lên từ hôm nay nữa cho nên nó mới sống trời chứ cho nó khâu luôn đó tấm nhiều dầu này chỉ có chỉ khâu vậy cho nó là mà nè khâu cho thời ban liên liên là mà và cho này nó sống trời và cho nó cũng chỉ có đó tôi thấy trời chỉ mua cho nó này ở giờ là cho thôi nè con này nó này con này có thể chế nó chế vào xì thứ nó rồi này tôi hay đây từ xì nó này nó này cái theo xì nó này hắn số hắn cho khẩu cái này là trong dữ liệu của hạt vật nó này cho nó sẽ tí cà phê lồng cho nó cũng chỉ bao giờ sẽ cà phê thả xuống cho nó này cho nó cà phê xuống tôi có cho tí cho nó này mấy chuyện là có trong thôi bye bye con nói về theo chi ở theo chi nên có sai u sai nọ có sai u sai nọ cho mình lâu chơi lâu thằng cái lấy thay ok đấy lấy thay đấy ok bây giờ chơi dùng xưa ai mấy mà mấy mà hai cái là cái oxy cứ xả cho nó nè oxy hai kia rồi rồi nhưng mà lia mua một tờ má mì ăn
Bunch of ducks, yeah.
cái gì có chứ tôi tàu ai cũng thay phải có tôi chỉ phải nghe liêu tôi tàu cái này đấy cái này nó lấy là nó chỉ là cho lấy xếp lá là lấy cho nó cái sổ chứ à
Ủa con rồi, nhớ là lo bà nó thấy như này. Ý tôi ta chơi, ý tôi. Mỗi nay giờ mấy anh xây là cũng có thể mấy cái nói với nhắc sẽ nổi, cái này mất lấy cái gì?